Can you see the module 3 screen on the web, on the Zoom screen now?
Yep, I can see it.
All right. Okay. So in this module, we are talking about a couple of things which is required by you. First is the table. So as I said, when you create anything, when you create the form for user to enter the data, to view the data, to edit or modify the data, everything goes in the backend in the table of a ServiceNow, and ServiceNow using Microsoft SQL database. So everything what you create or entered here, it goes into a table. So we'll talk about how to manage that tables, right? So if you want to create the form, for example, so you'll be creating the table, and then automatically the form will get created for the user to enter the data into that table. So we'll talk about the complete process, how to create the table, how to create the columns. You can decide what type of data you are going to store it, what will be the width of that table, right? For example, if you are creating an employee table, so you will be creating the employee ID as a field, which is the numeric field, right? Or alphanumeric field. First name, last name, social security ID, right? Department, a lot of things like if you want to store the personal information, your medical history related information, what is your blood group, what is your spouse name, what is your skill set, and number of things you can put. So that depends on how do you want to design your table. So you first create the table, and then once you create the table, you can say, okay, now I want to create the form for the user to enter the data into that table. So we'll be discussing the entire process of creating the table to create the form for the end user to fill in the data. Then another topic which we are touching here in the module 3 is the import set. Now import set means you have already created the tables, or you already have the setup in the ServiceNow instance, but now you want to import the data here, right? So yesterday we just touch it, but now we'll actually do that. We have a data in the Excel sheet. So how to get that data from Excel sheet into your uh, ServiceNow instance or tables. So we'll talk about that. Then third topic which we are discussing here is the CMDB. So we'll talk about what is CMDB and what are the table associated with CMDB in the ServiceNow. Okay. And what is the relationship between this table? Because ServiceNow mainly uh, store the information about the CI and the relationship between the CI. So we'll talk about that at the conceptual level, as well as creating some classes in the CMDB. And the last topic which we are discussing here is the reporting. So what are the out of box report, how to run that report, and if I want to create my own report, how I can do that. So these are the four main topics which we are discussing in the module 3. And every module is associated with the lab. So there is a lab for table lesson, there is a lab for import set lesson, there is a lab for CMDB and reporting. So let's start with the first topic, that is table. Now this we already discussed yesterday, but this is a refresh of this. Now the when you create the form is nothing but form is represented as a table in the database of ServiceNow. Any field which we are creating on the form is represented by the column in the database table, and any record which you are creating here in the form will be represented by the row in the database table. Okay, so everything in the ServiceNow is built on MS SQL database, which you access through the ServiceNow graphical user interface. Then a database contain tables contain records, and record hold the fields for individual piece of data stored in that. This we already discussed yesterday. We also talked about the reference field. Do you remember this discussion, Nick?
Yeah, I remember that somewhat.
Yes. The reference field on the incident form is a caller. We discussed that caller field in detail yesterday. So basically reference field is nothing but the primary key and foreign key concepts between the two table. So for example, on the incident form, when I'm providing the information about the caller, that name of the caller should be exist in the user table. Okay. So I cannot just type any name there and create the incident. If I want to create the incident for the particular user, that user should be having a registered record in the user form. So when you enter the data in this form, system will check whether the corresponding or matching record exists in the user table or not, and then it will allow you to enter that data. Or you can also uh, search, like you just type few characters from the name of the user, and the matching record will be displayed to you by the system, and you can pick up the record from there in order to fill in that forms, that particular field. So this is called as a reference field. This also we discussed yesterday when we were talking about the incident form. Now, regarding the table administration, actually there are four modules which manage all the table administration in the backend. The first one is a table module, which will list all the table in the database. So basically, it will show you what are the table: the user table, the role table, the group table, then incident table, task table, change management, change request table, everything. So if you go to this module, it will show you which are the table exist in the ServiceNow. It includes the system table as well as the user created table. So even if tomorrow, if you create one new table for the student, for example, you are developing an application for admission, then if you create the student record, like similar as employee record. So if you create the another form called student record, then there is a corresponding table gets created here, and you can see the entry here in the table module. Okay. So this is one table. We'll be going through all these module one by one. The another table is table and column module. So which will list all the existing table along with their columns and attributes. So what are the columns in the existing table? What is the what type of data that column is storing? What is the width of that table? Whether it is a character field, numeric fields, date time fields. If it is a character field, what will be the width of that? If it is a numeric field, what will be the maximum minimum value? So you can see all that information here in the table and column module. The another module under table thing is schema map. So this will graphically tell you what is the relationship between the table, right? Like for example, when you are talking about the reference field, so uh, in the reference field, if you have the field reference field as a caller in the incident table, then there is a relationship between the incident table and the user table. Okay, and that will a kind of primary key and foreign key relationship. So how that tables are connected to each other, that you can see here in the schema map. And the last one is system dictionary table, which is, we called it as data dictionary kind of things, or info table about the tables. So this is provide options for administrator to modify the table and field, which in run turns define list and forms. So here, this is a data dictionary or system dictionary. The system is maintaining the information about all the tables. So how you can use it, that you can, will see here in the system dictionary module. Okay. So if you see the first table here, table module and table administration. So here are some of the important thing what is there in the backend. The table, when the first table, which is table of table, list all the table in the database. So the actual name of the table in the database is sys underscore db underscore object. Table contain a record for each database table in the database. So when I'm saying the first module, table module, and this table list all the table in the database. So this table, where is the name of that table is nothing but sys underscore db underscore object. Okay. And how do you access it? If you go to the application navigator under system definition, there is a link called table from where you can open this table. Okay. So uh, once we discuss this slide, I will show you where this table is, how to create the table, how to add the table. So what you can do here is you can view, add, or modify the column with the searchable. Like once the data is there in the table, you can do anything what you can do with the list, right? Because once the data is stored in the table, everything is accessible as a normal table, and you can view the data, you can modify the data, you can delete the record, all these things. So you can do that. Yesterday we did a lot of practice on this, how to create the record, how to modify the record, how to submit the changes, how to modify the record, right? Now there is some concept here which we need to understand while talking about the table. So in the ServiceNow, these are the tables all are having a parent child relationship between each other. Now for example, for user, user records are stored in the sys underscore user table, right? Yesterday we talked about it in the module 2. Group records are stored in the sys underscore user underscore group table. Knowledge record are stored in the kb underscore knowledge table. But there is a concept called parent child relationship between the table. So there is one system table which is called as task table in the system, which is already created. So the task table is one of the core table provided with the base system. Now there is a concept of extension of table in the ServiceNow. What is extension of table means? You have one core table, for example, task in our case here. The task table can be extended to create another table. Now, if you see on the right hand side, task table is extended to create the incident table, problem table, change request table, and requested item table. So here there is a relationship of parent-child relationship between the task and this table. So task table is a parent of all these tables: incident, problem, change, requested item. Okay. Now here, this parent-child relationship, we name it little bit different in ServiceNow. When I create a child table from any of the parent table, I'm saying that the parent table, which is task table, is extended, and I have created incident table. Okay, clear the relationship between this table?
Yep, that's pretty clear.
Yeah, task table is a parent table, and incident, problem, change, requested item are all child table of the task table. We also called it as extended table. So task table is extended table to create these tables. It will be more clear on the next slide when I move to the here core and commonly used. So how all these things are organized? Whatever is there in the parent table are automatically available to the child table. Okay. Now first we'll talk about this parent and child class, and then we'll go to the base class. A table can extend another table. A table that extend another table is called a child class, and the table that extend and the table it extend is called as parent class. Okay. Now in earlier example, which is the parent table, which is the parent table in this task and incident? Nick?
The parent table between task and incident, you're saying?
Yes.
Be
Yes.
in this
Yes.
case, it would be task.
Which will be the task is a parent table, right? And incident, problem are the child table.
Yep.
So here is the parent class. And
Yep.
there is I am talking about the class, but a table that extend another table is called as child class, and the table it extend is called as parent class. If table is extended but itself is not extended table, it is called as parent base class. Clear now what is base class, what is parent class, and what is child class?
Yep, that makes sense.
The first paragraph talks about it. If there is no parent to you, then you are a base table or base class. That is here. Now parent class extend the child class. Now there is one more concept here, that whatever is there in the parent class is automatically available to the child class as in a hierarchy. For a child class record, a database store new field unique to the child class and store the rest of their field in the parent class. This means that one record in the child class exists both in the child class and the parent class. So if I create some record in the child class here, it will automatically create the record in the parent class also, because some fields of a child class are stored in the parent class. So if you see here, in my parent class, the instance ID and name is coming from the base class, whereas the service name and power capacity fields are the field of a parent class. Okay. If you go to the next level, instance ID and name are coming from the base class. System name, power capacities are coming from the parent class, whereas screen height and pixel size fields are locally stored in the child class. So if I create one record in the child class, it will create the record in the child class with the field values for screen height and pixel size. It will create one record in the parent class by giving the value in the field system name and power capacity. It will also create one record in the base class with the value to the instance ID and name. Okay. For end user, when he extract the record, it is not, it is transparent to him. He don't know whether the record is stored in one table or in multiple table. But when I pull the data, I will see it on the one slide. That data is coming from my child class table. But actually, in reality, the records are stored in the 3 different tables in the backend. Okay, making sense?
Yep, that makes sense.
Okay. And last point, if you edit the field on the child table that is present on the parent table, you will also change it for the parent table and all other child tables. Means if I change the value of the power capacity in the child class, it will also change the value of the, it will also change the record in the power class, because it is actually stored there. Not only one child class here, if there are more than one child, it will also be updated in the other child classes also. Okay. Maybe I will request you to just go through it once again, whatever the description I have given on the left hand side. Understand it clearly, because this will also a base for our CMDB structure. Okay. So just go through it. Let me know if you have any single doubt here. I will explain it again. And if not, then we'll proceed. I'll give you 2 minutes. Just read it and let me know.
Okay. Yeah, so it just sounds a lot like inheritance in programming. So
Yes,
I
right.
think I've got
Exactly.
the concept.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Okay. That Java in Java class, whatever inheritance is there, it is same as it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about the CMDB table now. Now CMDB table, there are 3 main table in the CMDB. The first one is base configuration item. This is the name of the table. In the system, the table name is CMDB. Then there is another table, core configuration items, which is backend table is CMDB underscore CI. And this table extend the CMDB table and store the basic attributes of all the CI. Okay. Now did get the relationship between the base configuration item and core configuration item table. Base configuration item is a parent of core configuration item. Clear? First 2 lines.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense.
Correct. Now there is another table called CI relationship, CMDB underscore REL underscore CI, which define all the relationship between the CI. So this table store the relationship between the CI. So yesterday we talked about little bit about CMDB. I will explain it little bit more why this CI relationship table is required. Okay. Now CMDB means it will store the information about the CI in your infrastructure or in your environment. Means all the servers, routers, printers. If you have some components which you are used to deliver the service to your customer, everything is considered as a CI. So CI means the infrastructure items which you use to deliver the service to your customer are considered as a CI. Clear? Means if you are in a training business, your overhead projector which you are using to project the screen on the whiteboard is considered as a CI. But at the same
Yep.
time, if you are in a software business, for example, then the overhead projector which you use to train the people of your organization is not considered as a CI. Okay, why? Because the definition of the CI is any infrastructure item which you use to deliver the, if you don't use it to deliver the service to your customer, then it is not a CI. So yours, you should enter all the items in the CMDB which you use to deliver the service to your customer. So for every organization, the CI will be different. If it is a, if you are in a hospital business, the CIs are different. If you are in a construction business, your CI are different. If you are in a media business, your CI are different. The same item is CI for one business, whereas the same item is not a CI for other business. The same example of overhead projector, it is a CI for training company, but if it is not a CI for the software company. Making sense?
Yep, that makes sense.
Okay. Now, first two item, the base configuration item and the core configuration items. Here we are storing the attributes of the CI. For example, if I'm storing the particular server as a CI, because that is the server. For example, I am Ola, or you have say Uber is your service, right? Uber. Now Uber is storing all his information or data about the cabs, the application, everything in one particular server. So that server is a CI for Uber, because the service which is providing to his customer is being delivered by this particular server, and that is a CI for him. Now in base configuration item and core configuration item, I am storing all the attributes of that CI. It means that what is the make of the CI, how many CPUs are there, what is the how much core, what is the memory size of the CI, which operating system is installed on it, which application is installed, which antivirus is installed here, what is the version of the OS we are storing, what is the patch number we are stored. So all that information, all the attributes of the CI is stored in these two table, base configuration item and core configuration item. Clear?
Yep. Yep. Got it.
Yeah. And when I store it, the one of the biggest point about the CMDB is if there is any change, means tomorrow I have say 64 GB as a RAM for my CI, and I have changed it to 128 GB, that information need to be updated in the CMDB. That is also important, because CMDB is a single source of truth for all the application which are using that data. So your central repository information of the information should be up to date. So if there is any change on the CI, that should be immediately recorded on the these two tables, any change, so that you will have all the time accurate and reliable information. Clear? Up to this point it is clear?
Yep.
There are various way to update the information. We are not talking about that. Okay, there are various discovery tools and all that, you must have heard about it, or it is also manually, that's fine. I'm not saying it is automated all the time, but the truth is whatever changes you do to the CI, that information should be immediately recorded on the CMDB to reflect the latest and update information. Now, one more thing about the CMDB is not just storing the core and the base attributes of the CI. It is also storing the relationship between the CI. Now, for example, you have a payment system. Okay. Payment system is an application. This payment system is also a CI, correct? Because your Uber business cannot work if your payment system doesn't work, right? So payment system is an application which is also a CI. So there will be one record in this base configuration item and core configuration item as a payment system application. This is one CI, and the server on which this particular application is installed is also stored as another CI in this base configuration and core configuration table. Okay. Now there is another table which is called as CI relationship, which is storing the information about the relationship between these two CI. Now, what is the relationship between these two CI? The payment application is depend on the server on which it is installed. This is the relationship that is called as dependency relationship. Okay, so what I will do when I create the record in the CI relationship table, I will say create the class means source class is server, destination class is payment application, and relationship between source class and destination class is dependency. It means that if the server goes down, your application will also goes down. Okay, so that type of information I am storing it into CI relationship table. So what is the purpose of this? This will tell me the impact analysis. So once I stored this information on the CI relationship table, the moment your server goes down, it will automatically tell you what will be the impacted areas. So you might have two applications stored on this same server. One is the payment system and another is your leave management system. So the moment your server CI is down, your payment application and leave management application both will also get impacted. Both will also goes down. So that is an advantage of CMDB. It is not just storing the information about the CI. It will also store the relationship between the CI, which will be useful to identify the impact analysis. Clear? What is the relationship between these tables and all that? What is CMDB?
Yeah. So basically, we're just saying how tables can have strong and weak relationships, between the CIs. So yeah.
Yes. Correct. Okay. Now the configuration item table is extended to another table such as database. Now CI table can be anything, like you can store the database as a CI, because one database, again, there is a relationship between the application and database. If the database goes down, your application will also goes down, right? So that you store. So configuration item table, the first table is which is extended to database. So database is one of the you extend this core configuration item table, you extend it to the database table, then database table, or you can also extend it to the computer table, right? A computer table can further extended as a unique server, correct? So that you can create that relationship bit, but you should know what is parent, what is child, what is extended table, and what is extends table. So extended table is a child table, from where you can go and see this map. If you go back, this schema mapping, okay, here you will see this relationship. So there is a data, there is a application table, there is a server table, and the relationship between that is the dependency kind of thing. So if server goes down, your application will also goes down. So dependency relationship. So all these relationship you can see here in the schema map table. And how do you map, go to that schema map table? You go to the system definition, table and column, and there is a link called click schema map. So it will show you this particular kind of diagram and relationship. Clear? Can we go to the next slide?
Yep, that's clear.
Okay. Now we just talk about the relationship between the table, right? So these are the available relationship between the table, one to many. It means that like here is one request and there could be a couple of requested item to it. It means that if the one request for new hire employee, then it can be further breakdown into multiple requested item. One is to allocate the phone, one is to allocate give the access badge or identity card. Okay, these are the requested item kind of things. Now many to many, one product can be supplied by many vendor and one vendor can supply many product. That is the relationship. Extension, we just talked about it, right? The task table is extended to the incident table. So incident table is called as extended table. and core table, task table is a core table which extend the table to the incident table. And database view